Nadia had learned to keep her head down. In a city that moved too fast and judged too quickly, that habit kept her safe. She arrived early, left late, and did her work with care. People noticed her for her reliability, not her dreams. That was how she liked it. Dreams could be fragile. Work paid the bills. The office sat on the 9th floor of a glass building near the old road. From her desk, Nadia could see traffic crawl like a tired animal. She answered emails, checked numbers, fixed mistakes before anyone else saw them. Mr. Rahman trusted her. That trust had grown slowly, like a plant that survives because it is watered every day. Mr. Rahman was a fair boss, strict but calm. He spoke little and expected results. He also had a son, Arman, who came to the office from time to time. Arman was polite, distant, and well-dressed. He smiled when spoken to, listened more than he talked, and never stayed long. People whispered, about him anyway. Rich families always attracted stories. That evening, the sky darkened early. Clouds gathered fast, heavy and low. Nadia packed her bag, ready to leave, when Mr. Rahman stopped by her desk. His driver had called in sick. The company car was gone. The rain had started with sharp drops that hit the windows hard. Arman will drop you home, Mr. Rahman said, already turning away. It was not a request. Nadia felt a small jolt of surprise. She nodded. Saying no would seem strange. It was just a ride. Arman waited near the entrance, keys in hand. He nodded when he saw her. Outside, the rain fell harder, washing the street. In silver lines, they walked to the car without speaking. The air smelled wet and clean, like the city had been scrubbed inside the car. Everything felt quiet. The engine hummed. The wipers moved back and forth, steady and soft. Arman drove with care, eyes forward, hands relaxed on the wheel. Nadia sat straight, hands folded in her lap, watching lights blur past. She expected small talk. Weather, traffic, work. None came. The silence stretched, but it did not feel empty. It felt full, like a pause before music starts. Nadia shifted slightly. She told herself to relax. This was nothing. Then Arman spoke, voice calm and low. "Do you ever feel," he said, "like you were living a life that was chosen for you?" The question landed without warning. Nadia turned to look at him. His face was focused, jaw set, eyes steady on the road. He was not smiling. "I don't know," she said. "I think most people do what they must." He nodded once. "That's what I thought too." Rain beat against the roof. The car slowed at a red light. Nadia felt her heart pick up speed for no clear reason. Arman continued as if the words had been waiting. "People say I am lucky," he said. "They see money, comfort plans. They don't see the weight." Nadia listened. She did not interrupt. Something in his tone asked for that. "When your path is decided early," he went on, "you learn how to walk it well. But you forget how to choose." The light turned green. The car moved. Nadia's thoughts raced. She had never heard him speak like this. In the office, he was careful, distant. Here, in the dim light and rain, he sounded honest in a way that felt risky. "I think everyone has doubts," she said carefully. "Even people who look sure." Arman let out a short breath that was almost a laugh. "Doubts are allowed," he said. "Questions are not." She frowned slightly. Not allowed by who? He did not answer right away. They passed a bus stop where people huddled under a broken shelter, shoes soaked, faces tired. "Glance at them, then back to the road." "My father believes loyalty means silence," Arman said. "You do your duty. You don't ask why." Nadia swallowed. She had worked for Mr. Rahman long enough to understand that belief. It built strong companies. It could also build quiet walls. "And what do you believe?" she asked. He hesitated. The car slowed as traffic thickened. The rain softened, then fell again. "I believe loyalty should protect people," Arman said. not erase them. Nadia felt a tight pull in her chest. His words echoed something she had never said out loud. She thought of her own choices, the chances she had set aside because they felt unsafe. Unrealistic, unnecessary. She looked out the window, then back at him. "That's a hard thing to carry alone." He nodded. Yes, they drove on. The city changed around them, tall buildings giving way to smaller shops and quiet streets. Nadia gave directions when needed. Carmen followed them without comment. The car turned onto her road. The rain eased, leaving the air cool and still. Streetlights reflected on wet pavement, long and pale dot as they neared her building. Armand slowed. He did not pull over right away. Instead, he stopped a few houses down, engine still running. "I didn't mean to say so much," he said. "I don't usually." Nadia shook her head. "It's fine." He looked at her then. Really looked. His eyes were tired, thoughtful, searching. Not the eyes of someone bored or careless. The eyes of someone holding back. "I'm engaged," he said suddenly. The words were clear, sharp. Nadia blinked. "Congratulations." He winced slightly, like the word hurt. "Thank you." Silence fell again, thicker this time. "I shouldn't have said any of this," Armand added. "I know that." Nadia nodded. "You're right." Her hand moved toward the door, but his next word stopped her. "Have you ever met someone?" He asked, "Who made you feel less alone without trying?" She froze. The question hung between them, fragile and dangerous. Nadia felt heat rise to her face. She kept her voice steady. "That happens," she said. "People connect." "Yes," he said. "They do." The engine hummed. Somewhere nearby, a door slammed. A dog barked once, then went quiet. Armand looked back at the road. "I don't expect anything," he said. "I won't ask for anything." Nadia took a breath. "That's good." He nodded again. "Still, I wanted to say this once. Just once." She waited. "Meeting you," Armand said, "made me realize how much of myself I've been hiding." Nadia's heart thudded. She opened the door before he could say more. Cool air rushed in. "Good night, Armand," she said quickly. "Good night, Nadia." She stepped out and closed the door. The car pulled away slowly, taillights fading into the wet dark. Nadia stood there for a moment, rainwater dripping from the roof above her. Her hands shook slightly. She pressed them together until they steadied dot inside her apartment. She dropped her bag and leaned against the door. The silence felt loud. Her thoughts ran fast, tumbling over each other. She told herself it was nothing. Strange conversation. A moment made heavy by rain and tiredness. But when she lay down to sleep, his words returned, clear and persistent. Living someone else's life. Loyalty that erases. Feeling less alone, Nadia stared at the ceiling, knowing that something small, but important had shifted. She did not yet understand what it would cost her. The days after that rain-soaked ride felt strange for Nadia. She could not stop thinking about what Armand had said. His words were heavy but quiet, like a secret she carried inside her without telling anyone. At work, everything seemed the same. On the surface, emails arrived, calls were answered, deadlines were met, and her colleagues chatted in the usual, casual way. But Nadia felt different. She noticed details she had never paid attention to. The way Armand's hand rested on a folder. The tilt of his head when he spoke to his father. The quiet sigh he let out when no one was watching. Each small gesture seemed to hold meaning now. She caught herself imagining conversations that hadn't happened yet, trying to guess his thoughts, wondering if he thought of her the way she thought of him. Armand, for his part, acted normally. At the office, polite and careful. Yet Nadia could sense something changed in him too. He lingered slightly longer near her desk, asked about projects she was handling, commented on little details she had overlooked. It was subtle, easy to miss, and yet she noticed everything. Their connection was growing in small, quiet ways, like threads winding around them without anyone else realizing. It's a glance here, a shared smile there, a question that seemed casual but held more weight. The office remained unaware of it, and that secrecy made every encounter feel electric. 1. Evening, the office emptied faster than usual. The rain had returned, soft but persistent, tapping on the windows like a quiet drum. Nadia stayed late, organizing papers and finishing reports. She heard the elevator ding and footsteps approach. Armand appeared at her desk, coat over his arm, wet strands of hair falling across his forehead. "You're still here?" he said softly, with a note of surprise that made her heart skip. "Yes," she replied, brushing a stray hair from her face. "I had to finish these reports." He nodded, moving a chair slightly closer. "I should not be here either," he said, his voice quiet, almost a confession. "I just wanted to see how you were." Nadia felt a flicker of emotion she could not name. She wanted to speak, to say something that made this moment feel safe and normal, but her words caught in her throat. Armand's eyes held hers for a moment too long. There was a tension that neither addressed, but both felt it was unspoken, like a secret language they were beginning to share. Days turned into weeks, and their interactions became a delicate rhythm. They spoke when necessary, sometimes lingered when unnecessary. A shared joke in the hallway, a comment about a project that led to a small discussion. Always subtle, always careful, but the weight of what they felt for each other grew heavier. Nadia noticed the way Armand's expression softened when he looked at her. She noticed how she anticipated those moments, how her heart would skip when she realized he was near. She tried to push it aside. He was engaged. He belonged to someone else. And yet denying her feelings felt impossible. One evening Armand caught up to her in the parking lot. Sky was overcast, and the smell of rain lingered in the air. "Walk with me," he said simply. She hesitated, then nodded. They walked side by side, neither speaking at first. The silence was comfortable, filled with the unspoken tension between them. Finally, Armand broke it. "I should not feel this way," he said. "I know what I am supposed to do, what I promised, what I am expected to be. But every time I see you, I feel something that is real, something I cannot ignore." Nadia felt her chest tighten. She wanted to step back, to tell him to stop, but she also wanted to hear every word. His honesty was dangerous, yet it pulled her in. She stopped walking, turning to face him. "Armand, this is not fair. You have a life, a promise. I cannot be the reason for complications, heartbreak, or betrayal." His gaze softened. "I know," he said quietly. "That is why I say nothing. I won't ask for anything. But I cannot pretend that meeting you hasn't changed me." He looked away for a moment, then back at her, eyes sincere and searching. "You understand me in a way no one else does. I don't even know why." They walked in silence again, each step heavy with meaning. Nadia's mind raced. She wanted to run, to forget, to protect her heart from the ache of longing, yet she could not. She had already noticed the effect he had on her. Her days now included quiet thoughts of him, memories of fleeting glances, small words exchanged in passing. Emotional connection, she realized, could be as powerful as any promise of love. It could pierce the heart just as sharply, leaving a mix of warmth and ache. At the office, their encounters became moments they both waited for, though neither admitted it. A pen passed across a table lingered longer than necessary. A smile over. A completed report held a private understanding. When she looked into his eyes, Nadia saw something raw and real. A vulnerability that contradicted the image of perfection everyone else believed he had. And when he looked at her, she knew he saw her to not just as a colleague. Not just as someone polite and capable, but as a person who mattered. One evening, Nadia stayed late again. The office lights dimmed, leaving a soft glow over desks and papers. Armand came by her desk, standing in the doorway, coat in hand, hesitant. "It's late," he said. "I didn't want to leave without seeing you." She looked at him, heart pounding, and nodded. "I'm almost done," she whispered. He stepped inside, closing the door gently. The quiet between them was heavy, charged with emotions neither wanted to name aloud. He moved closer, stopping just short of her desk. "You know," he said slowly, "I am engaged, and I am supposed to be happy to follow the life planned for me. But with you, I feel alive in ways I never have before." Nadia swallowed hard, feeling a mixture of fear, guilt, and longing. She had never imagined this. She had never imagined someone so close, so polite, so careful, could stir such feelings in her. And yet, here it was. Armand lowered his voice. "I am not asking for anything. I just needed to tell someone." "You are the only one who knows." Nadia's hand trembled slightly as she folded papers she had been sorting. She looked at him, feeling a strange mixture of comfort and danger. I understand," she said softly. "But it cannot go further." He nodded, a small, sad smile appearing. "I know," he whispered. "I wouldn't ask." They stood there, close but apart. The office clock ticked quietly. The fluorescent lights above them flickered faintly, casting soft shadows. Nadia's mind raced with thoughts she could not speak. The connection was there, undeniable and yet untouchable. It was a bond forged in quiet honesty, shared glances, and unspoken longing. And it terrified her. After that night, Nadia noticed herself thinking of him constantly. She thought about his words, the gentle honesty in his voice, the small ways he had reached for her attention without crossing boundaries. She thought about the ache of knowing what could not be, and the warmth of knowing that someone understood her completely. It was a dangerous feeling, one that made her heart ache and soar at the same time. She could not escape it, and she did not want to. Armand, too, felt the pull. Each interaction, each shared moment became a quiet struggle he wanted to respect. The life he had chosen, the commitment he had made. But every time he saw her, that commitment felt heavier, less real than the connection he felt in her presence. It was not about desire, not about temptation, it was about recognition. Someone who saw him fully, without pretense, without expectation. Someone who mattered deeply, in a world full of appearances. Their meetings continued, small and careful. Lunch breaks became excuses for short conversations. Hallway glances stretched into moments of unspoken communication. Emails ended with extra words, gestures that felt deliberate yet subtle. Neither wanted to break rules, neither wanted to betray trust. But both could not deny the effect they had on each other. The emotional closeness was intoxicating, addictive, and frightening. One rainy afternoon, Armand found her alone near the office entrance. The sky was dark, clouds heavy, rain starting again. He approached slowly. "May I walk with you?" he asked. She hesitated, then nodded. They moved together, side by side, under the faint shelter of an awning. He spoke first, voice low and hesitant. "I should not be feeling this. I should not care so much, but I do. You make me think differently about everything I believed about. My life, my choices, my future." Nadia felt her chest tighten, a rush of emotion she could not name. She wanted to tell him to stop, to protect herself, but she also wanted to hear every word. He paused, looking at her with eyes full of quiet honesty. "I do not ask for anything. I do not want to complicate your life or mine. I just needed you to know that you matter more than anyone else ever has." Nadia felt tears prick her eyes. She nodded slightly. "I understand," she whispered, voice trembling. She wanted to believe that nod could contain all the emotions she felt. But it could not. The bond between them had already deepened. Unspoken but undeniable dot. The rain fell harder as they continued walking, silent but together. Each step was a delicate negotiation between desire and caution. They could not name what was happening, could not allow it to become anything more, yet the connection remained strong and electric. It was a dangerous intimacy, one that existed in words, glances, shared moments, and quiet understanding. And it was changing them both. Nadia returned home that night, exhausted yet unable to sleep. Her mind replayed the events, the words, the quiet moments with Arman. Weeks passed since the rainy evening that changed everything between Nadia and Arman. Life at the office returned to its usual rhythm, filled with deadlines, meetings, and the hum of computers. Yet beneath the surface, nothing felt normal. Nadia noticed herself stealing glances at Arman, noticing small details, the way his tie was slightly askew when he was stressed, the way he tapped his fingers when deep in thought, the faint lines of worry on his forehead when he handled his father's demands. Detail, ordinary to anyone else, carried meaning for her now. Armand, too, seemed different. He carried himself with the same polite ease, the same professional charm. But there was a quiet tension around him, an energy that spoke of thoughts he could not fully share. He kept his engagement, his obligations, his social duties intact. Yet there was a subtle shift in his presence around Nadia. It was as if every room they entered together held unspoken weight. Every shared moment whispered a story that no one else could hear. The more time passed, the more Nadia realized that this connection was no fleeting curiosity, it was real, grounding, and irreversible. Then came the day of Armand's engagement announcement. The office buzzed with excitement. Everyone gathered to congratulate him, praising the match, the planning, and the impeccable choice. Flowers, cards. Polite chatter was a scene from a movie, picture perfect on the surface. Nadia forced a smile. She offered her congratulations with genuine politeness, hiding the ache that rose in her chest. She wanted to be happy for him, to support him in public. But the private reality, the emotional bond they shared, made every smile heavier, every word a little more difficult. The evening after the announcement, Armand sent a brief message. "Can we talk? Just for a moment?" Nadia hesitated, her heart pounding. She knew what a private conversation with him meant. It could unravel everything they had quietly built, but ignoring it felt impossible. She agreed. They met in his car, parked under a streetlight that cast soft, warm illumination over the wet pavement. The city hummed faintly around them, distant traffic blending into the quiet tension inside. Nadia stepped in, careful not to look too eager, trying to keep her emotions under control. Armin started the engine, hands steady on the wheel, eyes forward. Voice calm but soft. "I won't ask anything of you," he said immediately. "Not now, not ever. I just wanted to say this before life takes me completely elsewhere." Nadia nodded, her throat tight. She could feel the weight of his words pressing on her heart. "I don't want to complicate your life," he continued. "I don't want to create regrets or mistakes, but meeting you changed me. It made me see who I could have been, who I really am underneath all the expectations, all the planning, all the duties." His voice carried quiet conviction, a honesty that struck her to the core. Nadia looked at him. She wanted to say something that would ease the tension, something safe, but words failed her. Instead, she nodded slowly. "I understand," she said softly, though her heart ached. Understanding felt like betrayal, yet denial felt impossible. She could not pretend she had not been affected. She could not ignore the quiet, electric bond they shared. The car moved slowly through the streets. Streetlights blurred past, reflections dancing on wet asphalt. They drove in silence for a while, the only sound, the soft hum of tires, and the occasional turn signal. Nadia realized that this silence was different from the first one they shared on that rainy night. Then the silence had been tentative, filled with questions, cautious curiosity. Now it was loaded, weighted with years of choices, commitments, and emotions that could not be undone. "I have to marry her," Armand said suddenly, breaking the silence. His voice was calm but carried an unmistakable sadness. "She is everything that I am expected to want. She is proper, kind, and she will make my family proud. I cannot escape that." Nadia felt a pang of sorrow for him, knowing that no one else could see the struggle he felt. And yet, she asked quietly, and yet he said, voice low, you made me see that I am capable of something more than compliance. That I am capable of understanding, of feeling deeply, of being seen for who I truly am. And that scares me as much as it excites me. Nadia felt tears prick her eyes, but she blinked them away. She could not cry. Not here, not now. Yet her chest felt tight, as if it might shatter. The car stopped near her street. Armand turned off the engine, leaving the lights on. He looked at her, really looked as if memorizing her face. I won't ask you to wait, he said. I won't ask you to be part of a life that isn't yours. But I had to tell you this. I had to let you know that meeting you changed me. Forever. Nadia felt her breath catch. She wanted to speak, to explain that she understood, that she felt the same, that this connection had altered her too. But words were not enough. Her silence was a language in itself, a reflection of the bond that had grown silently, carefully, and dangerously between them. You made me realize that life is not just about doing what is expected, Armand said. It's about seeing, feeling, and understanding yourself. You showed me what it means to be truly alive inside, even when everything outside is perfect. His eyes searched hers, pleading silently for comprehension. Nadia's heart thumped. She had never felt emotion so raw, so uncontainable, yet so restrained. Finally, she spoke. I understand what you mean, she whispered. Her voice trembled slightly. I feel it too. But life has rules, obligations, and limits. We cannot ignore them. He nodded solemnly, acknowledging the truth of her words. No, he said softly, I am not asking. I only want you to know. That's all. They sat in silence for a long moment. Outside, the rain had stopped, leaving the streets shiny and reflective. Inside, the air was heavy with unspoken emotion. Nadia felt the weight of their connection pressing down. A bittersweet tension that neither could resolve but both could feel deeply when she finally stepped out of the car. The cool night air brushed her face. She turned briefly to him. Good night, Armand, she said, voice steady, despite the storm inside her heart. Good night, Nadia, he replied. She watched as his car disappeared into the distance, taillights fading into the dark. A strange emptiness settled over her. She had expected relief, closure, perhaps even joy from the honesty shared. But instead, there was a quiet ache, a lingering sense of what might have been, of what could never be. That night, Nadia lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every word, every glance, every subtle gesture. She realized that her life, too, had shifted. She could not go back to the simplicity of routine. She had been changed by someone who existed. On the edges of her world, someone who made her see herself, her heart, and her desires more clearly. Armand, in his own home, felt the same. He stared at the engagement ring on his hand, the symbol of a life he had chosen, yet his mind kept returning to her. Every laugh, every glance, every quiet moment they shared ran through his memory like a vivid thread. He knew he was committed, bound by promises and expectations, but he also knew that meeting her had unlocked something permanent inside him. Something that could never be ignored, never erased, never fully understood by anyone else. Days became weeks. Their connection remained delicate, invisible to the world. Small gestures, fleeting glances, quiet words exchanged in hallways. Emails that lingered slightly longer, these moments carried the weight of everything they could not speak aloud. And each time they interacted, both felt the push and pull of desire, morality, and longing. One afternoon, Armand found Nadia working late again. The office was quiet, lit by a soft glow from overhead lights. He walked toward her, hands in pockets, careful not to startle her. "You're still here," he said softly. "Yes," she replied, voice low. "I have a lot to finish." He hesitated, then said something he rarely admitted aloud. "I think about you, constantly. even in moments I should be thinking about other things. Even when I am engaged, when I should be focused on a life already chosen for me." Nadia swallowed. She could feel her heart pounding. She wanted to tell him she felt the same, that he occupied her thoughts endlessly. But the words caught in her throat. He continued softly, almost as if confessing to himself, "I know we cannot be together. I know the rules, the expectations, the obligations. But you have changed me, and that will never go away." Nadia nodded, tears pricking her eyes, though she refused to let them fall. She understood fully. She had been changed to. The connection they shared was forbidden, delicate, and unforgettable. The office remained quiet. The clock ticked on, each second heavy with meaning. Armand finally spoke, voice low and solemn. "Whatever happens, whatever life demands of us, I will never forget this. You have shown me who I am beneath everything else, and for that I will always be grateful." Nadia felt a mix of sorrow and gratitude. She had learned that some connections are not meant to last, yet they exist to shape us, to open our eyes, to teach us about love, life, and ourselves. And she knew that meeting him, sharing those moments, and feeling so deeply even when it was impossible, was one of the most important experiences of her life. The final weeks before his wedding were quiet but charged with subtle emotion. They maintained professional boundaries, exchanged necessary words, and carefully avoided private meetings. Yet the bond between them persisted.